could see us.
Hi, everyone. You have reached Chronicles of the Gray Hair Diva. This is my first time going live. I hope everyone is with me. I'm just trying to do some things here. Bear with me.
Rock, come on, Rock.
Just 1 second. I'm trying to make sure if you're with me and you can see me, throw me a note in the comments. Trying to see. I don't see anybody yet. Let's give everybody time. Hi, Marcella. Thank you. Thank you so much for watching and for joining me. Love you too. All right. So that means good. We're live. We can be seen. We're waiting for one more guest. We're waiting for one more guest, actually two more guests to come in the building. But I'm going to get started because I ran a little late. I don't know what I'm doing, but I told y'all that. Let me just see something here. Okay, let me go back. I think somebody was trying to send me a message, but I don't know how to work this thing. I'm doing it here. It says, hold on 1 second. All right. Okay, so we're waiting for two people to connect with us. But listen, guys, we are here. I'm here live, and I actually scheduled to have three people, I'm gonna say, on the live with me. On the live with me so that we can talk about the restaurant industry. And collectively, all of them have been in the industry for over 60 years, and individually they've all been in the industry for 20 plus years. My other two guests are having trouble connecting, but you know what, when they connect, we'll bring them in the building. But for now, we will get started. And Kev, since you're the only one here, you're the chef. And Kevin, you must be on mute because I don't hear you.
Yeah, I'm on mute. I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here.
All right. There you go. Okay, wonderful. So Kevin, so introduce yourself to the people. Tell them your profession, what you do, and how many years you've been in the business.
My name is Kevin Wright. I've been doing this for over 29 years this year. I work back of the house most of it. I've done front of the house things. I mostly stay in the kitchen. Been sous chef. I've been executive sous chef. I work everywhere from country clubs to casinos, steakhouses, private-owned restaurants, corporations, done corporate training. So I've been across the board.
Okay, so I guess
in assisted living.
Oh, in assisted living now. Okay, great. So I guess it's safe to say that you love the industry.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you cook, but can you cook?
Really? Really? You going to do this right now?
Listen,
I'm trying to shave you right now.
No, I'm not trying to shave you. Of course not. And Angel said hello to you.
I can throw down. I put my foot in the pot. That's all I'm saying.
You put your foot in it. Okay. So, okay, great. So as we wait for our other guests to come in, I guess I'll go ahead and start the questions with you. And you said you've been in the industry for over 20 years. You love cooking. You can throw down. I mean, so since you said you can throw down, I'll back up and start there. You said you can throw down. Has a guest in any of the restaurants that you ever worked in personally said, I want to speak to the chef to thank him for this delicious meal that he made?
Yes, several times.
Oh, you said several.
Several times.
Okay. All right, wonderful. So I guess my first question is, and I think a lot of people, there's a lot of conversation around this. A lot of people have issues with this. Oh, wait, it looks like, guys, I think I got one more of our guest has entered the building. I'm going to let him in.
Yes.
Hi, Rock. Hi, Rock. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Finally got on.
All right, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So we're back up rocking. Why don't you introduce yourself to everyone? Tell them how long you've been in the industry and what it is you do in the industry.
Well, I've been in the industry, the hospitality industry for a really long time, a little over 32 years. Um, I'm a corporate trainer. I'm currently serving at this restaurant called Ada's on the river in Old Town. I've worked at steakhouses. I've worked at Italian restaurants. I've maitre d'. I general managed this restaurant in Baltimore. I've just been in the business for a very long time.
Okay, wonderful. So again, with you, I guess it's safe to say that you love the business.
Yeah, I do love the hospitality business. I love it. Absolutely.
Okay. Okay, wonderful. And any moment we're waiting. Rock's beautiful wife
Rock,
is
would you
going
ask
to
me?
Rock, beautiful wife is going to join us. So we're waiting for her to enter the building too. As soon as she arrives, we will bring her in. And if you have any questions that you would like to ask either one of our guests about the restaurant industry, type it in the comments and I will be sure to make sure that I ask them that question. So guys, since y'all the first ones here, our first thing up is we're going to talk about tipping. Tipping is a big conversation when people go out. Sometimes people feel that they don't want to tip because they had bad service. Also, there's this thing, around tips, like how much should you tip? How much of a tip should you leave? So let's hear your thoughts on tipping. We'll start with you, Kevin. Kevin, can you hear me?
Yeah, no, I can't.
Okay. Okay. So what are your thoughts on tipping?
Me?
Yes.
Oh, always. You want to always tip at least 18% to 20%. Unless you have horrible service, uh, that's my bare minimum. Uh, I know other people eat up that tip. I know, it's not just the server. It can be split between the host, the bartender, the busser. So when I tip, also too, when you tip, you're tipping not just from the service for bartender, you're tipping from the service for everybody. So the busser coming to the table, the hostess seating you, that's all included in the hospitality treatment. That's all the restaurant experience. The food coming to the table, the manager coming to the table asking how the food was. This is all part of the restaurant experience. So when you tip, you know, you're tipping based on that restaurant experience. So one
I lost
person,
the audio.
you good, Rock? Unmute the mic. So if you look at the overall experience, you can't take one person's you might not have liked something to use as an excuse, which I see people do. They look for that one excuse not to tip, as opposed to looking for an excuse, looking at the all experience. And just like you, they're working. Service hourly pay is not that much. So a lot of times when you tip in, that money is going to pay bills. So I know all this from being in the business, but like I understand the people out there who are not in the business, when you tip, when you go in a restaurant, your overall restaurant experience is not just your relationship with the server. It's the busser, the hostess, it's the whole unit, the whole unit.
I got it. So you're saying it's everybody. So I just want to say some things here. Brenda, thanks for watching. She said always tip. My girl, Chris Love, she says you tip 20 to 25%. Marcella, thank you for commenting. She says tipping is important. It lets the service know that they appreciate it. Plus, wait staff made little bit of money. She said rich people are the cheapest. I don't know how you feel about that. Oh, thank you, Boo. I don't know. Then my boo gave me what do you call it? A super chat. Congrats on my first live. Thank you, sweetie. I love it. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So Rock, it looked like we lost Rock again. So since we lost him, I will go back. And my sister's watching. She said, "Oh wow, everyone gets part of your tip." She didn't know that. But Nancy has a question for you. She said, "How do chefs feel when you get detailed requests from customers?" So we go off the menu. How do you feel when people go off the menu?
It depends on how busy they are and it depends on what the request is. Um, when you request something, remember everything goes in the flow. Just like service in the kitchen, everything goes in the flow. So our stations are set up in the flow. So if you say, okay, I want to do X, Y, Z,
Mm-hmm.
if someone has to stop and go in another direction, it can destroy the flow of the kitchen depending on how the kitchen is running. So if, for example, somebody might say, oh, I want to order something off the lunch menu. If it's not ready, somebody has to go prepare that. That means someone has to stop what they're doing to do so. I'm more conscious for people who have allergies, people who may be a vegan and things like that. My suggestion of that is to call ahead of time if you can. Uh, if you go into a place, like I know people come, I work in seafood places, people come and says, I can't eat seafood. Okay, then we're going to prepare something for you and, make sure we don't touch no seafood, doesn't touch the surface, the pan, anything to make sure. So in that aspect, I don't have a problem with that. It's when it's something crazy that when you have to stop what you're doing and it's real busy and
Mm-hmm.
it, you have to honor that request because it's easy to honor a request when it's slow.
Mm-hmm.
You have time. But then when you got that request on a slow Monday, but then you come on a busy Saturday, it makes it very difficult because on slow Monday, we had time to stop and do what we had to do. On a busy Saturday, it's hard to do that. It's very hard to do that. So sometimes, like I said, it depends on um,
It
what
depends on how busy it is.
how
I got
busy you are and what the request is.
got you. So, Rock, let's go back to you since we have you back in. Talk to us about tipping. Let's circle back to that for one moment.
Well, I mean, it is part of. Y'all can hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, it is part of the way that the restaurant industry has set up the system. They have purposely lowered the wages down, so the guests, are tipping out, the server, and they have made it a way where our tips also funnel down to the food runners, to the bartenders, and to your bussers, which is pretty much, some places call it a porter, but your back help. And that's the way that the system has always been set up. So for people, when they come out and they stiff a server, or they leave, a $5 tip on a $110 check, it affects the whole staff, and also affects the morale of the staff as well. Um, the standard tip is 20%. I mean, I think I haven't left a 20% tip in like 20 years. I always tip well over because I'm in the industry and I understand what they're going through. For the most part, sometimes people are new. People are struggling. Sometimes people just got out of training. Sometimes you just don't always know what's going on. But
Mm-hmm.
if you stiff someone, you pretty much stiff the whole restaurant, and it's not
Mm-hmm.
fair to all of the people that have worked extremely hard as well. And
Understood.
I'm not saying that, well, this system is the perfect system. This is the way that the United States have set up restaurant systems in general. Now they have raised up the minimum wage to minimum wage, like in California. So, and hotels, they also have a minimum wage, but that still doesn't say you shouldn't tip. And sometimes the living wages are extremely high in certain areas. So in order for them to be able to make a living and work in a hospitality business, they still have to live on their tips.
Right, right, right. All right. So thanks. And that's what Marcella said, that the wait staff gets very low wages, and that's why it's important, to tip. And then yeah, so the ones that are watching are finding that it's interesting, the conversation, especially on tipping, because so how do you feel? I know you said that this tip goes to everyone. So in my mind, then the management people.
When I said, okay, yeah. So it's illegal to tip out anyone that's on salary. You can only tip
Mm,
out people that's hourly. So I worked at a restaurant. I'll say the name. I don't care. When I worked at Morton's Steakhouse, when you signed on that you was going to be part of the team, you definitely signed that you was going to be tipping out the managers, that we all knew that was illegal in most states. But Morton's is a big company and they got away with it. But, you know, I want to say around 2007 or 8, they did get hit with a class action lawsuit, and where I was refunded more than the majority of my money over a 5-year period. And anybody
Nice.
that signed that affidavit and went in a part of that class action lawsuit also was part of the refund of their money. So if you was there for a very, very long time, they prorated it. And if you was there for a real short time, you got a small amount. But you're not allowed to tip out any type of salary employees. That's illegal.
Okay, okay. And Brenda said it was called tip share when she was a waitress. That's what they call what you're explaining. So,
Correct. And it
okay,
is, at some places still called, when I fill out my paperwork at the end of the night, it is part of a tip share. And that percentage, so some places will do 20%, some places do 30%. I know Joe's, that everyone loves to go to, crab and seafood, they tip out 45%. So if a server made 600 that night, they didn't walk out with 600, they walked out with 300.
mm,
So sometimes if you're a server and you know this, you may avoid places like that, but sometimes it's too enticing because you can make so much money. But the tip out percentage is huge. So if someone stiffs you on one of those large bills, I mean, it's just a crusher.
understood, understood. So have you ever seen where a server, because usually the servers, they pick up their own tips off the table or get their own tips out of their bill. So how do you ensure, how do they know that me as the server, I'm really reporting all of the money that I actually, made that night?
Okay, so
What if I made 600 and I just put 200 in and say, here, I made 400?
all right, so it's twofold to that question. When I fill out my, this goes into what you said earlier too. When I fill out my paperwork at the end of the night, it tells me how much sales I have. Now, restaurants can do it one or two ways. They can either say you're going to tip out on how much you made, or you're going to tip out on your sales. Okay. When
Mm,
when you have a restaurant that says we're going to tip out on your sales, they're looking to make sure that you tipping out at least 18%. If I'm waiting on a consistent tables that are stiffing me, they are going to assume that I am not giving people proper service, and then I'm going to be on the chopping block to be fired. That's their basis way of saying, did you give people good service, by looking at that percentage that you're reporting to them, and which also goes to the IRS. Now, when it
got it.
comes down to tipping on how much you make, like you said, I'm picking it up off the table. They're also looking at the same thing. However, they don't know how much cash you made. But what
Right.
they do look at is how much cash you had to turn in at the end of the night. So if I had, we'll keep it in small numbers. If I had $1,000 worth of sales, and I had, at $1,000 worth of sales, 800 was in credit cards, 200 was in cash. They're looking to see if I write down $40 that I made in cash. If I write down zero, then that's going to throw up a red flag. And once you get red flag, every time you turn in your report, they look at the cash, they look at the tip. And if that joint continues to keep coming up way under 18%, they're going to think you're stealing and you're on the chopping block to get fired.
Understood. All right. So Dave Jermaine said 20% is the minimum in America. Thanks for that comment. And Brenda said, is that why they do automatic tips for larger parties?
Okay, I can address that too. Kevin, if you don't mind, I've kind of like been talking a lot. But so the reason why larger parties are hit with a gratuity is because you've inconvenienced the restaurant on having to put together tables for guests like you and your loved one that want to go out to eat. When you inconvenience the restaurant, they said we're going to put a gratuity charge, not a tipping charge, a gratuity charge. The gratuity and a tip is two different items. Okay, if any place in the United States, if they're going to add a gratuity to the check, it has to be before the sales tax, and it's always 18%. So usually, what winds up happening is it winds up being like 15% on the total bill, not the total 18% because it's before the tax. But it's pretty much large parties that hit with a gratuity because you've inconvenienced the restaurant on table formats and formations.
I don't like that word inconvenience. Okay, find another word because listen, we come in. What? Yeah, yeah, Nancy. She said, why is that an inconvenience? We come in and support in your restaurant with our large party of people that are going to purchase the food and bring business to the restaurant.
Well,
So why
well,
are we
okay,
inconveniencing y'all?
okay. So, you have to look at it from not necessarily our perspective. You have to look at it from the owner's perspective. And the owner's perspective is, yes, I may push all of these tables together for everybody, but everyone that's at this table may or may not eat. Everybody may or may not drink, and I'm losing money on these tables that I'm pushing together. It's real easy for you to say, hey, I'm coming in here to spend money, but that's not necessarily true on all of these large groups.
All right. Understood. Okay. Nan said exactly. Somebody has something extra on and is giving feedback. Just make sure you don't have anything extra on because it's giving feedback, and I want everybody to be able to hear what we're saying. We're waiting for your wife, and I'm gonna hold because she's our bartender. That's going to give us some bartender information. So I'm gonna hold those conversations for her. It looked
Okay.
like we might have lost Kevin. It looks like his screen froze or something like that. So I'm going to have to ask you this question, Rock, because you're the one here. The infamous bread basket, okay? The
Okay.
bread basket that they have on this table. Some people think that when there's some bread that's left in the basket, all they do is take it to the back and refill it and bring it to another table. What's with the bread basket?
Okay,
First of all,
the bread basket.
nobody's doing that.
The bread
If
basket
you do that,
Go
is.
ahead, Kevin.
go ahead, Kevin. Go ahead, Kevin. Go ahead. Go
And
Go
ahead.
ahead.
no, listen to me. We have what we consider an a normal what we consider an observable amount of bread that we have for this service. So we have bread laid on sheet trays, and we go through sometimes 2 or 3 racks of bread on a regular day, and so it's prepared for that. We don't reuse bread. Anything that touches the table, we do not reuse. I don't care if it's the wrong temperature. I don't care if it's bread, rice, grits, whatever. Fork. If it touches the table and it comes back in the kitchen, it doesn't go back out. Even when your food gets
So it goes in the
redone, like,
garbage?
Yes.
yeah.
It
So for
goes in the garbage.
example, you cook up like even like your steak is not cooked up to your temperature, and you bring it back, we will change the plate and replate it. We don't even send the same plate out. We don't even send the same plate out. So any restaurant that would do that, that's not a restaurant you even want to go eat at. But like if you bring up like today at work, somebody sent back lamb chops. They wanted it cooked up more. When I cooked it up more, I changed the plate, put new sides on it, new sauce, everything. Here you go. And that's what you. So
Okay,
that's what we.
that's good to know. So Angel asked a good question. She said, if it's such an inconvenience, why not limit the table parties to 4?
And I agree. I will say that is a great question, but at the same time, they're still trying to make the guest as happy and as comfortable as possible. You're not going to just be telling guests, you know what, we're not going to seat you because there's more than 4 people. But what I'm saying is that this is the conversation that they have that y'all don't know that they're having. The reason why the gratuity is put on a check of a large table is because we have, or you have, or whoever it is who's made the reservation has inconvenienced the restaurant. Yes, no manager is going to tell you that, but that's facts.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. And yes, Chris loves us. It takes more servers and buses to service a large group. So
Yes.
now we get that. Okay, so the bread basket is not being recycled. I'm sure everybody is glad to hear that and to know that. Okay. So what happens with this? Let's stick on this same theme when some people arrive late to the reservations.
All right. So people have gone to policies where they don't want to sit incomplete parties to at least 75% of the party number that you have requested is there. And the reason why that happens is because let's say I put together 3 tables for a party of 10 and I seat 3 people. and the party's waiting and waiting and waiting, and only 2 more people show up, and then they say, you know what, we're going to order without them, or they're not coming. Those tables that we pushed together could have been used for somebody that they've turned away at the door saying we don't have enough space. So they don't want to see a party until they're all there. Now, some places have gone to, if you're more than 20 minutes late for your reservation, then we're just going to cancel it. Which is, I mean, it's a huge problem, because you're making the guests feel bad. But at the same time, there's a lot of other guests that want to eat, so they have to make a decision, and that's the decision that they make.
Understood. So here we have a good question from Dave Jermaine. He said, so people were confused, and so was I. We did not know that. We thought the utility was a tip. Okay, so that's education you provided there. We thought it was one and the same.
They're
So
not
the
the same.
question, so they're not the same. So the question is, where does the gratuity go? And should we be still paying a tip on top of that?
Okay, great question. Okay, and this usually happens a lot with private events or private parties. So when you sign a contract, you say, all right, I'm going to sign for this particular percentage amount. Let's say it's 18%, right? You sign on that contract, 18%, that's a gratuity. That's going to automatically be put on the bill, okay? Anything that's automatically put on the bill is a gratuity. If you add extra, let's say it's a holiday party, you're like, man, everything went great, and then you add extra, that's a tip.
Yeah, we understand that, but where does the gratuity go? Who does that go to? It's just the restaurant money?
No. It's a different way of saying when you sign a contract, because you can't put on a contract, you have to tip this amount, because
Got it.
because you can't force anyone to tip anybody. But if you sign a contract, you're going to be forced a gratuity, and that's the difference.
Where does the gratuity go? I think that's what we're trying to get at. Who does it go to?
The server at the end of the night. Let's say it's you have 4 servers in a private room, and you sign for 18%. The 4 servers split the 18%. They fill out the paperwork, and it goes to whatever percentage to the busser, the bartender, and the food runner. The same exact way it goes if you left a tip on the table.
All right, so it does go to the waiters, but you're saying that we still should put an extra tip on top of that money?
If you sign a contract and that's what you want, it is sufficient. But a lot of times what some people have done is like, well, I don't know exactly how my service is going to be. So they'll sign the contract for 10%. And that's not fair. That's not fair to keep it at 10%. So then at that point, you can bump up the tip to an extra 8 or 10%, on the tip line. So if you sign for under 18%, or let's say you sign for 15%, then give the server the extra 3% after you finish paying your bill.
Okay. All right, sounds good. So that's our reservation. Okay, so what's the big deal when the kitchen is about to close? If you tell me the restaurant is closing at midnight, then I should be able to come at 11:58, 11:57 and order me some food, because y'all don't close until midnight. What's the deal, Kevin?
Okay, well, here you
Brenda,
go.
just by the way, y'all, Brenda says she never signed anything in the
but
gratuity
just
was
like
just added.
Those who work at a job.
Repeat that. Hold on, Kevin. Repeat that again, Cheryl.
And I haven't either. When you call in for a large party and say, I got a party at 10, I got a party at 12 or whatever, we don't sign nothing and they just add the gratuity. That's what Brenda just said. So we didn't sign nothing, they just added. So is that illegal?
No. So for Brenda's question, if you call in for a party of 12, yes, you did not sign a contract. Okay. But they are supposed to tell you on the phone when you make the reservation, 18% gratuity is going to be added to the bill. They're supposed to tell you that before you sit down. They're supposed to tell you when you make the reservation, and they're also supposed to remind you before you sit down nobody is allowed to just put a gratuity on a check without you not knowing it. That is illegal. So
yeah, that's illegal.
So what happens is sometimes you'll see at the bottom of the menu, parties of 6 or more, a certain percentage gratuity will be added to the check. Then it's legal. Okay, but if it's not on the menu, it's not legal to put a gratuity on the check if a guest does not know. That's not legal.
Okay, all right. All right. Thank you for that clarification. And so, Kevin, the kitchen's about to close. What's the big deal? I made it before you
Good.
close. Let me get my food. Not my problem. Y'all started cleaning up the kitchen already.
Kevin, I can answer this, but this is up your alley, bro. Like, tell the truth.
Okay, here's the deal. When you come in at 11:59, you deserve service, good food. I don't have a problem with that. They tell you the kitchen is closing because they want you to understand that people are on a schedule. People
Mm-hmm.
have to leave. We're not a job where 9 to 5, at 5 you get the clock out, wait by the time clock. We're cooking. So when you come at 11:59 and you're hungry and you order your food, okay, the server, the bartender, the busser, everyone's there to serve you, okay? And it's just like like it's not like coming at 9 o'clock. When you come at 9 o'clock, and I don't know if you ever done this before, but you have tables that will sit down for an hour and a half, and they will order drinks and order food and yada 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 yada. That's fine. At 11:59, kitchen closed at 12. I get off at 1. You sitting around ordering or whatever. Be courteous to the people. They're about to get off work soon. Okay. You came at 11:59. Fine. You go and get your food, get it hot, get it the right way. Everything's good. But to sit at the table and parlay all night, that's between you and the server. The kitchen's not going to be open for 2 hours, but you can keep, well, you know what? Let me get this. Let me get that. Nah, we got to go. We got lives too. So we got prayers to make in the night and meditations to do too. So guess what? I got to bounce. So, and then you have people who may not drive.
Cheryl, this is Cheryl. Kevin, stop it. Stop it. You
But
can't say that.
Thank you. Go ahead, Rock. Rock, add to the
He can't say
situation.
that.
Yes.
He can't say that. Okay, so you have every right to come in at 11:58, 11:59 and come in and order.
that's what I say.
But hold up. But if any hourly employee, if it's a problem with the hours and somebody's got to leave, that's when the sous chef or the chef there is supposed to cook everything. They're on salary. They're supposed to jump behind the line and do it. However, I'm not saying that you're not allowed to do it. It's bad etiquette. It's just not a good thing to do, especially if you frequent a place a lot of times. It's just not good etiquette. But the kitchen and the restaurant will always suffice. They will always do their best, but it's just not good etiquette.
All right. So okay, educate us. So if the restaurant closes at midnight,
Right.
then when is the last time we should really even go to the restaurant? Then what is our cutoff time?
It should be between 20 and 30 minutes before the restaurant closes. That is an appropriate time.
All right.
Also, I want to also say this. If you're already in the restaurant and you're already eating and it goes past 12, no restaurant should say you can't have dessert or the bars cut off. As a matter of fact, most restaurants, if it's an upscale restaurant, cannot do last call until the last person in the dining room leaves. They cannot make, so if you order a drink, if the restaurant closes at 12 and you order a drink for me at 12:45, I shouldn't be behind the bar making the drink. A bartender still should be there. The diner has every right to leave the dining room and go to the bar and have an after dinner drink at 6 o'clock or at 12 o'clock or at 12:30. It doesn't matter. If people are doing last call with people in the dining room, that's not a good establishment.
It's not. And I should be able to come in at 11:59 and get my food.
I said you're allowed to do it.
It's about common courtesy.
It's courtesy. It's not good etiquette. I'm just saying people are gonna do it anyway, regardless. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, you know what? Sometimes people, they're not doing it on purpose. They just hungry. You hungry, and you got to find you a restaurant that's open so you can get some food. That's all it is. And Nancy said, when you answer, if you're a call center person and you get a call at 4:59 and you get off at 5, you're not picking up that 4:59 phone call. Stop it, girl.
That's true. I've tried to get into the bank at like 4:59 and they've already locked the door. I mean, that's just like that happens.
Thank you.
I mean,
Many a
it's
time.
just
Thank
like
God for the direct
restaurants.
deposit.
I have called people at 4:45 and the phone just ringing. They just not gonna pick it up. They're like, I don't want to deal with the phone call. Those are facts.
I guess so. Okay. So let's move on and let's talk about,
But we can't.
let's move on. Let's talk about when we bring our own cake to
Oh
the
my God.
restaurant.
I said everybody can log off early at their job, but we can't.
Well, this is the industry you selected.
We can't log off early.
Yeah, but you
gotta stay to
selected
the
this
end.
industry, so we got to go with what you selected, right? So let's talk about when you bring your own cake to a restaurant. How do y'all feel about us bringing our own cake
True.
to the restaurant?
Very disrespectful.
Whoa.
It's very disrespectful. And what winds up happening with the own bringing in their own cakes is that when we go to cut it, sometimes they want to cut a certain way because they want to save certain pieces or certain slices, blah, blah, blah. But if you mess up that cake, you have ruined an experience, right? And you don't want that. Bringing in your own food to a restaurant is disrespectful to the pastry chef. I mean, you can't bring in your own steak and tell Kevin to cook it. I understand that y'all looking at it like, but it's just a dessert at the end. But that's the reason why restaurants have a dessert menu. And what winds up happening is we cut the cake, and then they're like, you know what? Everybody's not going to eat the cake. Can we use these to-go boxes? And now you're using the restaurant's to-go stuff to put in the boxes. Now the restaurant's losing even more money. And then everybody's losing except for the person who brought in the cake.
Yeah, right. Nancy said, how is it disrespectful if we ask the restaurant, can we bring this cake? And they say yes.
I know. That's why some restaurants say no.
But there's another side to it too. There's another side to it.
But Kevin, hold on 1 second. Chris said, well, what if your dessert isn't good, but the food is? So we want the food there, but the dessert isn't good. So we brought our own cake from the bakery that we love.
Here's the thing. Here's the situation. Suppose I bring my own food to your house while you cooked. You're not going to be very happy about that. We're looking at guests as people we're bringing into our home. We're trying to give you a dining experience. We're working hard to make sure that your night goes extremely well. I wouldn't do that to your house. I'm not going to bring my own cake to my grandma's house who's baking a cake and say, well, grandma, that cake ain't good. So I brought these fudge brownies or these cupcakes from Bunt Cake. That's not respectful.
But hold on, there's another side to it.
Yes.
There's another side to it. When you bring in outside food and if someone gets sick, it could be a huge problem. And the restaurant could still be held liable. So if the cake wasn't baked right, if the egg sat in the counter too long or it hit a temperature that wasn't safe, or the icing ain't made right, and people have had reactions, because actually, I don't know if Rock remember this, 1990 Marriott in DC, a wedding cake, a groomsman cake, got a whole bunch of people sick, and when they traced it back, it came from outside. And somehow it was like placed underneath raw chicken. Somebody stored it underneath raw chicken.
Well, y'all messed up.
People got sick.
Yeah.
And when that
Marriott, nothing was wrong with the cake. Nothing was wrong with the cake. Somebody in the restaurant messed up.
Again, that's one of the you don't want to mess up someone's cake. You don't want to mess up someone's cake. And also when restaurants have people bringing in their own cakes and desserts, you can guarantee on some evening someone's going to get the wrong cake. It's every time I've been in these situations, it has happened, and it's not fun for anyone. And usually it's because so what they do is, for restaurants that do, they'll attach your reservation to the cake in the refrigerator, right? And what winds up happening is the table says, I don't want to sit here. And they move to another table. So they move to the other table. And then now the server goes in and gets the cake and sees, oh, table 14, this is my cake. And then it's an absolute disaster. It's a disaster. It's just a mess for everybody. And sometimes it's just an innocent mistake, but the guests are not trying to hear that at all.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to hear it either, but I do totally get what you're saying. So I have some friends that do it. I know people that do it, but let me ask you about this. When people say, can I get a cup of hot water?
Oh my God.
To rinse off my silverware.
Oh my God. I can't even begin to tell you. I can't even begin to tell you how ratchet that is. I just the moment that somebody does it, you already know that you're not getting a tip.
Oh.
I'm just like, I can't. By the way, the same silverware that they're putting in the water that's that we give to you that's hot, which is usually from the coffee spigot, is still like 80 degrees cooler than the dishes that go through the main dishwasher. I want to say it's like 120 degrees or 115 degrees for hot water for coffee, but the dishwasher machine gets up to 180 to 200. It's the same plates that you're using that's going through the dishwasher. I mean, it's the same glasses. I don't get it. I just don't understand. If you feel that uncomfortable at a restaurant where you have to put your silverware in hot water and wipe it down in front of my face, you probably shouldn't go there.
Well, they don't like your word ratchet. They said that's a little harsh.
I understand.
And Tamara said it's more ratchet to give her some dirty, unclean silverware.
Again, if I sit down at a table and I feel like the restaurant is dirty, I'm not gonna eat there. I'm gonna get up and leave.
All right. Well, we have our answers, people. If y'all have any questions, throw it in the comment section, and I will ask you a question. But our next question up is what does it mean when you give the steak medium rare? Like rare or medium or whatever. And yes, and back to the silverware for 2.2 seconds. Nobody wants to see the water stains or the whatever on their silverware. So before the restaurant brings it out, maybe they need to do a little towel or something on it and clean it up.
No
and
question
then put it
about
on the
that.
table.
Every ounce of silverware should be polished before it hits the table. No question about that. No question. I do know that sometimes the restaurants get so busy, and sometimes people just like this. I want that table right now. I want that table right now.
Right.
They just grab a handful of silverware and just set the thing without actually inspecting it, or getting it properly polished. But if you feel like this restaurant is so dirty that I gotta put my silverware in hot water and wipe it off in front of the server, I don't think you should be eating there. That's just my opinion.
All right. Okay, so medium rare or rare, whatever you want to say it, Kevin. I don't know. I know your connection is a little bad, but do you think you can answer that question?
Kevin?
He might have froze. Did he freeze?
All right, so listen. So rare, okay, let me go to the difference between ground beef and steaks, okay?
Okay.
So ground beef is, when it's grounded up, it still has the bacteria in it. So anytime you get anything grounded, you want that medium well or well, okay? But when it's a slab, when it's a cut or a cutlet, you can have that at rare, medium, you're not going to get sick, okay? Rare is a cold red center. Medium rare is a warm red center. Medium is a hot red center, bright pink to the edge. Medium well is bright pink throughout. Well done is no pink at all. And that's the way it should be explained every time somebody orders a temperature on any red meat, every time.
Got it. And thank you, Chris, helping me out there. Everybody, please hit that like button. We appreciate it. share the stream once we are done. So you understand there the difference between when you're asked for, your meat a certain way. Lemon juice on the silverware. Oh, okay. So lemon juice on the silverware helps it.
Yeah, it does.
I guess. Okay. All right.
It
Well,
does.
they know what he's talking about there. He said put some lemon juice on that silverware. Yes, yes, yes. So I was like waiting for your wife. Is she coming through? We have some bar stuff we want to
Okay.
ask her.
What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna handle my phone, and then she can go from there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Let me ask her a couple of
That way
questions. Yeah.
that way you can ask questions for her
Yeah.
because she got all dolled up for this, so
Oh,
she don't
yes, yes, yes.
she
We
don't want
need
she
her.
don't want to she
We
don't
have
want to
some
miss this.
bartending questions we want to ask her.
Hey, you want to ask?
Give me 2 seconds. Give me 2 seconds. Oh, she needs 2 seconds. Okay, Rock. So we could continue with you until she's ready. Did we lose you? Okay, we lost. I think Rock stepped away for a minute. The statistics cleans it and it's discreet. Oh, okay. So maybe restaurants need to do that to their silverware before they bring it out to us. Yes. And then oh, okay, thanks. Good. So y'all see in there, hit that like button. If you're not already a subscriber, please subscribe. And thank you for joining my first live streaming here. Oh, thank you, Angel. Very good live, very informative. And we're about to get an opportunity. Look at you, gorgeous.
Hi, sorry I couldn't log in. I missed everything.
Hey, good, good. Look at your shirt. It's so cute. I love
Hi,
it.
thank you.
Love
I'm
it,
sorry I
love
couldn't
it.
log in.
Huh?
I said I'm sorry I couldn't log in.
Oh no, it's okay. It's okay. I
Okay.
would have sent you another link, but this is good. This works. Okay. So
Okay.
Ladon, do me a favor, introduce yourself to everybody. Tell them, how long you've been in the industry and what you do, and then I will ask you your questions.
Okay. So here, get some light. That makes it better.
Yes.
I
Yes,
like
it
Hi,
does.
your hair.
Kevin.
I like your hair. I like
You
your
like the
hair.
hair? It's the
Yeah.
summertime look. We in DC. You got to switch it up with the seasons. Um, my name's Ladon. Over almost 25 years in the industry. Bartender, server trainer, you name it, I've done it, and I'm still doing it.
Beautiful, wonderful. So let's talk about we've been getting into this. What happens when people order drinks from the bar? I'm not a drinker, but I hear a lot that people feel like the drinks are watered down. That
uh,
they don't get 100%, alcohol on top, the top of the line alcohol in these particular drinks.
right.
Talk to us about that. And someone loves your blouse.
Oh, thank you. So with me and wherever I worked at, your liquor is what you liquor. Actually, there is a task force that comes around and checks to make sure that the product that's in the bottle it is, and you can't marry bottles. That's against the law. So what it is taking a like bottle and mixing it into another bottle. So that's actually
Mm,
against the law. So that's number one. Number two, if you're at a bar that you feel that someone has watered down your drinks or something, um, then that might be that bar. But any bar I've ever worked at never have done it. And also, two, drinks are done by recipes. And so when a drink calls for 2 ounces, we make it at 2 ounces. We don't water it down, give you less or anything because it makes the drink profile don't taste very good. So we are very conscientious of making drinks, but also, too, that is a controlled substance. And as a person who's giving it to you, I am responsible for you while you're in my presence. So I have to make sure that I am actually giving you the correct amount because there are certain breakdowns and laws of when the body breaks down alcohol per hour of drinking, of eating, and your metabolism are just standards. And so to keep with a fair law, these are the reasons why we give you the drinks the way we give it to you.
all right, understood there. Somebody said top shelf for me, and someone also said that sometimes you just put too much ice.
It's not even too much ice. Each glass is the same glass. So regardless of you think we're putting too much ice, it's the same glass that will give you less ice, no ice. But once again, it's the same recipe. We have to give it to you in the same amount.
Okay. All right. Understood there. So, tell me, has anybody ever sent back their cocktail, their drink, and said it just doesn't taste right? It's not what I'm used to. I get this drink all the time and it tastes different.
Okay, so here, I have had that. So depending on where you drink at, most restaurants either make or buy, i.e., their juice, their sour mixes, or anything that's an additive to add into your drink. So depending on where you go on a regular basis, say a large chain restaurant, they buy on large consumptions of stuff for every restaurant to be consistent. So let's say Chili's. Chili's sour mix is not going to be the same as my sour mix because I make my sour mix every day fresh. Chili's is pouring theirs out of a bottle. So if you're used to drinking at Chili's, of course, when you come to me, it's going to taste a little off.
Got it. So is bartender and mixologist one and the same? Someone's asking that question.
It is. It is a degree of bartending. It's a person that can take and make recipes to associate them and put them on menus.
Okay. Okay. All right. Beautiful. All right. So has anyone ever thrown a drink in your face?
No, because they crazy, but they ain't crazy crazy. Uh, no, no, no.
Oh.
I'm paid to see that though.
Yeah, yeah. Well, no,
I
they
Don King
crazy.
that fight.
Like
I
I said,
Don King that fight.
yeah, you know.
All right. So, question, either one of you can answer, or probably you, Kev. How do you prepare food when there's allergies at the table? And is everyone's food going to be held up just because someone at the table has an allergy?
Okay, usually when you have an allergy, the server, if they have knowledge of the menu, will let you know what you can and can't have, what's in whatever your allergy is. If they're confused, they can go back to the chef, and the chef will let you know what's in what, because that's our job to know what's ingredients in the food. Um, so be very detailed and say, I'm allergic to shellfish, I'm allergic to whatever it is, gluten, and then we can come up with something. And a lot of times you have something ready to go. Now they have this thing called we have it with a designated cutting board where we use specifically for that situation. So a lot of times that if you come and you say I'm allergic to this, we have an idea. We got something for you. We got something for you. Now, the reason why it could hold up food is when you get that information to the kitchen. Usually that information should come in before the food is even rung in. Once the server gets that information, I have a person with a certain allergy come to the kitchen. Now we're already on it. By the time they're ringing the check, the food's gonna go out with everything else. It's no problem. So
Oh,
it's yeah, so it's not a problem.
let me
all
let me
right.
double let me double back on that. So when you come into a restaurant, you tell me you have allergies. They might be a slight delay because now we have to get a manager involved. I have to let someone know that you have an allergy at my table because if you call back and say you're sick the next day because of such a such a such a, I've crossed all my T's and dotted all my I's. So I have to get a manager involved, and that manager is supposed to run your food because they now
Mhm.
see that the food that you have has been properly prepared in the way that you don't have an allergy. Now, this is my biggest crux. Don't like something versus an allergy. People have now my 11-year-old told our sitter one time she was allergic to something, and my sitter goes, well, why does your mom keep cooking it? Because she knows that anytime you say allergy, you don't get it, and they will never give
Mm,
it to you. So now people have now used allergy as a term for I don't like something to make sure that they don't get it. But what it does is put everyone on heightened alert, and it could slow down the process of everyone else. If you say you don't like something, just say you don't like something. Don't say you have an allergy, because now I'm like, well, okay, you don't like onions. I'll say, well, the dressing has onion byproduct. Oh, that's not going to kill me, or that's cooked onions. But you just told me you have an allergy, but now all of a sudden it's now I don't like it.
right, right. Okay. So misusing the words. I'm
Yes.
allergic to tomatoes and tell the waiter then order a Caesar salad and they bring it to me with tomatoes on it.
That might have been by accident. It might have been a bad night. It might have just been someone picked up the wrong salad and not paying attention. I'm not saying
Right.
everyone's perfect, but I do make it a. I've gotten an award 6 years in a row of being the allergy czar in my restaurant because I go above and beyond of making sure that your allergies are taken care of.
Got it. So how do servers, this is a question, get trained on the alcohol choices? I recently went to a restaurant and the server didn't know what is that? What is that? I don't know, was I asked for another top shelf item and they had no clue.
Okay,
Is that
so
McCullen? I don't know what that is.
McAllen,
McAllen.
McAllen, okay,
McAllen 18.
which is a Scotch, and
Oh,
it's a pretty high end Scotch. And we have been in a pandemic, and there's have been some shortage. So if you're at a restaurant with a Macallan 18, God bless you, because it's shortage all around. Every liquor company is having a shortage. By the way, there is a national bottle shortage. So bottles for wine and liquor, we're having trouble consuming and keeping them in for right now. So most high end,
wow.
yeah. So that's one of the little things. We're in a pandemic. We have a lot. We just came out of a lamb chop shortage. We didn't have in our restaurant for 3 months lamb chops because they were not they was a across the United States shortage.
Wow. Okay.
So it's a shortage on a lot of things. Now, when it comes to liquors and stuff in restaurants, um, new servers, let's say an 18-year-old, of course, would not know the name brands of a majority of things because they are not able to drink. But that's also during the training process of just like you have to know what's in the food. You get a list of liquors that are at the bar. You get a list of beers that are at the bar to try to help you guide your guests in the right way. But when you don't really know something, and I always tell new servers, it doesn't hurt to ask or tell the guests, give me a minute or two just to ask and just be very patient with people because sometimes we might have it not on display, but we might have to get it from someplace else.
Got it. Got it. So let's talk really quickly about cell phones. Now it seems like everybody goes to dinner and the cell phone never leaves their hand.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
wait. Let me
Go
say
ahead.
it.
Huh?
You cannot expect good service if you are on your phone. It doesn't happen. It doesn't equal. Good service and on the phone does not happen. You need to allow the server to conversate with you, tell you the
Yes.
specials, drink specials, what's going on. You can't be talking to mama. You can't be FaceTiming your home girl. You can't be texting your boy. You gotta put the phone down. If you
Gotta
want
put the
good
phone down.
service, put the phone down.
Yeah. I agree 100%. I think this is a younger generational thing. Um, they don't put down their phones and they will be FaceTiming. It'll be 12 of them at the table and everyone's FaceTiming someone that's not there. So they're not even interacting with themselves there. And then they'll turn around at the minute they'll talk. These people that are on the phone with them all the time can't be in the same room without being on the phone. And it's very concerning with a lot of the business clientele that I deal with. So a lot of business clientele are starting to think about hiring in companies, not etiquette, but yeah, etiquette advisement for their newer tier, younger people coming in because they don't know how to socialize or be productive without having some kind of electronic device.
Yeah.
So when you're out at business meetings and you have these companies and you're out and these kids, like literally, if you have to sit there without talking with their phone, it looks like you're killing them. Like you put them in timeout and they'll sometimes be out with their bosses and it's just a bad situation.
Right. So someone said, but now they have the menus on the phone because they're trying to do the whole, not touching and, safety thing with COVID. So I guess they're trying to say that don't be upset about the phones because some of these menus are now on the phones.
That's menu, not FaceTiming your girlfriend that's laying in bed with her headscarf on.
Thank you.
Yes. All right. And I agree. It's just disrespectful. Okay. So we got an agreement there. So let's move on really quickly to dress code. How are the people showing up in the restaurants and what do you
Okay,
think about it?
okay. Here's the deal. Just because it's made for the club, don't mean it's made for the restaurant. Okay? If it's showing something, if it's sheer, if you can see the sides of your boob just because the nipples covered up, remember when you walk in restaurants, it's family-owned restaurants, kids are in there, and you go in there before you go to your birthday party, and it's inappropriate. It's inappropriate, and so you have to be conscious of that. So when you put on certain dress codes, that's an issue on that level. The other side of it is a lot of people believe that it keeps out the riffraff. You know what I mean? So they have a dress code. But what happens is in some of these restaurants that me and LaDon worked in and Rock as well,
Mhm.
I give an example. There was a restaurant in DC and Stevie Wonder showed up in a sweatsuit. Who gonna say no to Stevie Wonder?
Yeah.
Who gonna say no?
Yeah.
So people got mad. Well, he got a sweatsuit. Well, that's Stevie Wonder. You know, they got mad because uh, at our restaurant they had no hats. But Trey Songz walked in with what's the boy name? Uh, Flo. What's the name? Flo Rida, whatever his name is, and a couple of other rappers with hats on. They let them come in.
Well,
So
y'all discriminating.
well, you say that, but the thing is this: they're not going to turn that type of money. And
Yeah,
so
you're not. Well, you're discriminating.
you're right, but the thing is this: it's like this. If you got a dress code, right?
Hmm.
And you got your sandwich shop or whatever, but Oprah shows up in flip flops, and you gonna tell Oprah no? You gonna tell Oprah no?
No, I'm not.
So
But I'm
so
just saying it's discrimination.
Okay.
say
Two
what you
things.
want. Is certain
Two,
people have higher standards, and certain people who you just not gonna tell them no. And so you have to realize. But I will say this: managers need to step in, and because a lot of these hostesses or maitre d's are young ladies.
yeah.
And don't put that decision in a young person's don't put them in that situation. That's what it gets
Mhm.
wrong to me. When you got some 21, 22-year old college student and you're putting them in that situation, it's late night, people been drinking, a manager needs to be there to step in because the situation could go left quickly. You know what I mean? And
Understood.
so that's how I look at that.
So two things before we move on. Number one,
Uh-huh.
we have the right to refuse service across the board. So it's not discriminating, it's a right to refuse service. Number two, I always tell people, do we always have a saying, can you go to court in flip flops and shorts and a hat? Then why can't you come into a restaurant that has rules? I don't understand that it's some feel people feel like it's discriminating, like my money is green, I should be able to spend it anywhere I want and how you want. But my biggest thing is, if I'm going out for a very nice dinner with my husband, I get it. The areas that we primarily work in has a lot of sporting events, and I understand. But what they've done is in these restaurants, they have leveled the layers of where you're supposed to go because they're section off areas. So we know if it's a sports night, we gotta let them in with their jerseys, their hats, and stuff like that. We're in that area. Let's say they stay on the first floor. The people that are coming to dine very nicely, they're moving on to the second floor. So they are ways of restaurants accommodating folks so to where no one feels like they're being singled out. But I do agree that if I'm sitting there having a nice family dinner and I got grandma and grandpa there and we're all celebrating something, and you walk by and grandpa can actually see your cheeks and he wears glasses, we got the problem. I'm just
You're
saying.
right. It's a bit much. Okay. So this is let me ask you this question. If you could tell everyone one thing they should keep in mind when they're going out to eat, what would you tell
Patience. Just please have patience.
them?
Just please, just sometimes just calm it down on a 9 to a 10, 9, 8, 7. Have patience, and I think your experience will be a lot better. My famous saying, server, not servant, and treat others how you want to be treated.
Love it. Love it. Kevin, anything you want to say about that really quickly?
Be a good guest. And remember, the person who's waiting table or serving you or assisting you is doing the same thing you do every day. They're working.
Mm.
They're working. And so just like you go to your job and you don't want nobody giving you a hassle. I'm not saying if things are wrong, do not bring it to the attention, but people coming in with an attitude, looking, to start looking not to tip, looking to just be a problem. You come there to have a good time. Go with a positive attitude,
Yeah, go with it.
and you share that. You know what I mean? Because like attitudes are contagious. Attitudes are contagious. And if you come in there to have fun, I've seen parties that came in late night and was so much fun, you didn't think about the time. They just was interacting and having fun.
Yeah.
So, the Donna tell you as a bartender, you could have people that's drunk and they can make you laugh all night. And then you can have people that's drunk and who pain in behind, you want to get them out the door. So
Yeah.
you just really, you don't want to be somebody else's thorn in their side. You know what I mean? I don't want no thorn in my side. I don't want to be a thorn in no one else. So I just look at it like that. Come in with a positive attitude. Come to have fun. Come to enjoy yourself.
Come to
I
enjoy
don't go out
yourself.
to get mad. I don't go out to be mad. I go out to enjoy myself. So that's how I look at it.
All right, so we're gonna close out with some quick fire questions. Kevin, you're our first. Have you ever cooked a bad meal and still served it? Yes or no?
Ooh. Early in my Bennigan's days. My Bennigan's days. We closed at 2:45 in the morning, and I'm talking like you talking like maybe my first second week there, where I shouldn't even put it on the plate, and I put it on the plate, and I remember the manager came back and said, "Would you eat this, or would you serve this to your mother?" And that was that for me. And every time I look at a plate, I think to the same thing: would I eat that, or will I serve it to my mother?
Yeah.
And that's
Um,
just the answer. So I don't. Yeah.
Beautiful. Your next quick fire question. What do you make best?
Ooh.
Oh, I can answer that. He makes really good crab fried rice.
I knew he was gonna say that. I knew he was gonna say that. Oh my God.
We are
So
addicted
we
in this
gonna go
house.
with that, Kevin.
LaDon,
Yes.
answer. Cheryl asked the question, can I cook? I'm gonna just let you answer that one.
Fire. This man is fire. This man, I tell you, he will make you gain 15 pounds. Kevin,
Mm.
Kevin can burn. Kevin
Okay.
can burn.
Okay. You
So
got somebody down for you. All
Yeah.
right, Kevin. Your next
so
quick fire question. Who is your biggest chef inspiration? What chef that you encounter that is your biggest inspiration?
oh wow. You know what? I worked in Jersey with a guy named Anthony Spinelli who showed me creativity. First time I saw a menu and it wasn't the typical menu. It was his menu. Um, Chef John Rella, probably one of the most creative chefs I ever worked with or worked for. Um, those two guys took me to another level. And another chef, Greg Gaglione, who passed away a few years ago, he took the handcuffs off me and let me do what I wanted to do. And those three chefs, and not knocking anybody I worked with, because I learned from everybody, but
Mhm.
those three chefs come to mind. Uh, Fortunately, they always in Jersey. And you know what? I gotta throw my man Will in there because mm, listen, like I could put 15 pounds on you. Will could put the other 30. Will is yo. He so it. I mean you. It's certain things that you just have a passion for, and when others have a passion for it, a lot of times you work next to people who just doing a job. They're trying to pay bills. They're trying to cut a check, and I understand that. But then there's certain people where they just have a passion for what they do. I can cook all night. I can, if I learned anything from the pandemic was I miss cooking. And I've been on the phone with a Don and Rock and I made baked ziti and made 3 pans of baked ziti and I lived by myself and I had to call people to come pick it up because I had all this baked ziti. So you just have this. I just have this passion for cooking. But those three chefs, um, are people who really inspired me and inspired me to do what I do.
Thank you, Sam. LaDon, these are your quick fire questions. Um, is there another phone on in your house? Like it's a lot of feedback.
No,
But okay. Did anyone ever flirt with you just to get a drink, a free drink?
oh yeah, that happens all the time. That happens all the time.
I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this. Y'all just see this part of LaDon. She think of this. She think of Snicker. She got a lot of people. She got a lot of followers. I'm gonna just say that.
Thank you very much, Kevin. I appreciate you.
I know that. You
All
see
right.
Rock White?
And
He right here. He hears it. He knows.
You see Rock
so,
White?
LaDon, this is your next question.
Okay.
Has anyone ever left the bar without paying for their drink?
Oh, that happens all the time.
Wow.
That happens all the time. But we have gotten into a system. Fine dining restaurants didn't do this at first until people figured out that we didn't. We start tap, so you have to give us a credit card if you want to sit there. So we're like, okay, let's start a tab for you. And then be like, oh, what's your name? So then we can have a conversation of rapport. And I was like, okay, let me just get a card to start your tab. So if you leave, some places they will put automatic gratuity on it. It'll say sign like if you leave a tab open, we automatically put 20% on there. Me, I just close it out. Just pay what you had. I'm not in the mood of trying to have a call back the next day that you put a tip on your thing. You left. I just closed it out to what you had.
Okay. Wonderful. Okay. And what is the best drink to order? Or do you have a drink that you love to make?
I'm pretty much a simpleton. I'm a big prohibition drinker, which means classic cocktails. So I drink a lot of martinis, Manhattans, old fashions. Sidecars are my favorite. Pretty much that's it. Yeah, I'm pretty basic and pretty simple. Too many things in in a cake don't rise. So too many things in a drink don't taste that good.
Okay. And we gotta ask Rock his quick fire questions and then we're gonna close out.
Okay.
All righty. Y'all can sit together. Y'all can see in the frame together. I love it. Husband and wife, everybody. Rock, did you ever have to give up a table that you had to a fellow server because you was ready to choke the people that was at that particular table?
Yes.
By
the way, I'm glad that was also brought up, because since when you start in the restaurant or the hospitality business as a real small, entering in, most managers, if they're decent managers, will say, if you have a personality conflict with the table in the beginning, have another server take over the table. Don't put yourself or the guest into that type of situation. And sometimes it is just personality conflicts, or sometimes people will just misinterpret something. But absolutely, I've said a couple times, listen, I need you to take over the rest of this table so they can have a very good experience and I don't lose my job. No problem.
Right.
I got a famous story. Lovely gentleman, one of the Trump boys who got pardoned. Me and him are on first name basis and we don't get along. So he came in one day and I'm the senior person on duty. They were like, you have to take care of him. I said, we will all get fired today. We don't get along.
Roger Stone.
Yeah, we don't get along. Please do not. And my manager is like, what? I thought you're still professional. I'm like, there's a certain level of professionalism. And then there's a certain level of, we're going to get fired. Today, we're going to get fired. They had someone else wait on them.
All right. Now, my last question for you, Rock, is: has anyone ever put something in their food that you knew they did it just so they wouldn't have to pay for it?
Yes.
Wow.
And it's happened on so many occasions, but there was one particular occasion where I overheard the guest saying what he did. As I was passing by. And again, you can't necessarily accuse somebody of that. You just, when you're in the hospitality business, sometimes you just have to eat it. There was one time where this guy ate half of his filet and said it was an ingrown hair in the steak. It took everything for me to just bust out laughing in his face. But I took the steak back upstairs. I showed it to the manager. We both looked at each other like, who's this? What? And we just cooked him another steak. Sometimes you just got to bite the bullet.
Somebody said I love hearing their food last time, Rock, remember?
Say what?
Somebody said I love hearing their food last time. Remember that?
That's happened a bunch of times. It's happened a few times. This one
blame me. I love hearing the steak. My bad. You know.
This one table said it was an eyelash. I don't know how you can even determine which hair it is. Like, you know, is it from your hair or eyebrow? Like, so people do it all the time.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes when you first greet the table and you're going through the motions, you already kind of know like this might turn into something crazy at the end, and the manager will comp it, and hopefully you get compensated for your gratuity or your tip.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, guys.
Wait.
Yes.
Wait. Before you go, I gotta tell you this funny restaurant story.
Okay.
I'm working at Del Frisco's, right?
I got plenty of those.
I look at this guy across from me. I said, Rock, what are you getting your wife for Christmas? Rock said, I got her these boots. I said, Rock, it's not going to fit. He went off on me. I know my wife's sushi eyes. I said, Rock, I seen your wife. It's not going to fit. He went off on me.
He's a fact.
I ain't say a word.
I showed him pictures of it and everything.
He did.
The next time I came back to work, the elevator opened. He looked at me. He shook his head. He said, Kevin, it didn't fit. I said, I told you. And I said, she cussed you out, didn't you? She got mad at me. I was like, funny story. But
Kev tried to save Rock up many times.
and he wouldn't listen. He wouldn't listen.
No.
No.
That was a funny one.
Listen, guys, I want to say thank you so much for educating us, giving us these tips and these information. We maybe have to do a part 2 a little earlier one day where y'all can tell us some restaurant stories and, you know, did anybody ever have a fight?
Oh, man, yes.
About
pandemic, there was fighting all the time.
I remember when Rock came and got me. Kev, we need you out there.
We're going to have to do a part 2, but as always, I really enjoyed talking to y'all. Thanks for the information. Really gave the people that were watching some great information and education about restaurants. So I wish y'all all the best. Thank you for coming on to my show. And just, I love you. Any closing out tips you want to, or something you want to say, Kev, as we close out? The people got to sleep.
I'm gonna say this.
Yes.
If y'all in DC, go visit LaDon.
Thank you.
Okay, at the Palm, great bartender. If you in Virginia, go visit Rock. What name of the restaurant, Rock?
Ada's on the river. It's in Old Town, right on the water.
Both great people. I mean, I love them to death. I really do. You know,
sometimes people don't understand the relationship that you have with your personal chef, and we bonded from the very beginning when we.
Their daughter has went to school on many of my meals.
Yes, that's right. That's true. And he's always been a super professional, and he respected my grind and my professionalism. And you know, he's a great guy. I'm glad we can even do this years later, because I think we're like 7 years in of knowing each other now.
Yeah. And Sir, he can cook.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. And thank you, everybody, for watching. Make sure you hit that like button. And also, I'm going to put my email in the descriptions, because on Mondays, we're going to do like entrepreneurs. Anybody, if you're selling a book, you're selling clothes, you're selling whatever, you have your own little entrepreneur thing, reach out to me. We're going to have Entrepreneur Mondays, and we'll come online and talk about your product. So, and let me know anything you want us to talk about. give you more information on. If you want to see a part 2 of this series where we talk about some other things that happens in the restaurant industry, let me know and we'll definitely set it up. So thank you. Say bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
LaDawn,
Thanks, chat room. We appreciate you.
Bye,
LaDawn,
everybody.
You're
Yes,
welcome.
LaDawn, I made my own cookies and cream.
I'm done with you today. Not getting that.
All right, guys. Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.